All right. What is the Plain Truth Project, Phyllis? Why don't you start first?
It is a news project that we work on with people with disabilities that people don't understand about the news and what's going around the world and local.
Becca, how did you get started with the Plain Truth Project?
Yeah, so the Plain Truth Project, it's, as Phyllis said, it's this collaboration between journalists, researchers, and people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And the whole goal of it is to make news that people with disabilities can understand so that they can be informed citizens. But what we found out is that there wasn't a whole lot of research or resources around, so we decided to invite in some self-advocates. So Phyllis is one of those self-advocates who works as a consultant on the project, and to do some more research and development of resources so that we could really make sure that journalists understand disability better, but also understand access a little bit better.
Phyllis, how did you get started in this role? How did you meet Becca and get started in your role with the Plain Truth Project?
I met her at Kroger's. I was wearing my mask. I said, hello, how are you today?
And when did we start working together?
I think in 2020, I want to say I met you.
That's right. And it started out with storytelling, right?
Storytelling.
Phyllis, what is your role with the Plain Truth Project?
I'm a consultant on the news project.
What does that mean?
That means I help Becca. We look up news stories on the news. For example, when we went to Washington, D.C., we talked about the war. And we also talk about all the mass shootings that are going on around the U.S.
Yeah, so you've done a whole lot on the project, right? And so that consultant role means a whole lot of different things. So when we went to Washington, D.C., that was a workshop that we did with journalists and with self-advocates from around the country. And you were part of a panel of self-advocates talking to journalists about what it is that people with disabilities need from the news and how to make better news about disability too. And then there are some other things you've done on the project too, right?
We went to Chicago, and we also went to Fort Clinton and spoke on some news things. And we've also had articles in the newspaper. A guy from the Blade interviewed me in Toledo. And local.
So what do you think are some of the most important topics in the news that we need to make sure that people with disabilities understand?
They don't understand why we have wars. It's because people are fighting. I think it's important to know what's going on in Toledo. I know I see every day, I'm like, why does this person do that? Why do they do that? And I'm thinking, they probably don't have a normal life like people do.
I know one of the things that you and I have talked about a lot on the project was around getting information about COVID when COVID was a really big threat. And so can you talk a little bit about why it's important to have...
Because you got to know how to be healthy and safe. Like, for example, I had to wear a mask for a long time. I did not like wearing. I was like, I hope I don't die. I had to wash my hands. I use hand sanitizer. I still wash my hands and use hand sanitizer today.
Yeah, and it was important for you to have news to explain why you needed to do those things, right? Because you might not have done them if you didn't have the information about why it was important. You said another thing that you thought was important was having information about what's going on in Toledo. So like local news, right? Will you talk about that a little bit more?
About what's going on, like UT. They have basketball. People have hockey. They have the Mud Hens downtown. I like to see what they're going to have going downtown. They're going to be going to watch the music now. I saw Party the Park's coming back. People are excited.
Sure.
Is there anything that the news or news organizations can do to include people with disabilities more?
People with advocacy, Special Olympics, people like we go to Columbus, like when we're going to Columbus, they interview the athletes. Sometimes we don't ever, I got interviewed the one time, but they never put me on the news.
Any final comments about the Plain Truth Project and where you see it going?
I think we're going to continue and go further.
What do you hope happens?
I hope we get to travel more and do more news stories. And
Yeah.
meet more people. I know we don't get to be in and Amy much, but they do put stuff on our emails and saying, good job, Darius and Phyllis and Becca.
Where would we find more information out about the Plain Truth?
Go to plaintruth.project.com.
plaintruthproject.org.
.org. I was close. Or ask us about it. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or ask Phyllis.